Welcome everyone to Dead Talk Live, and tonight we have a very special guest, Maria Gabriela Cardenas, writer, producer, director of a great movie. Did it come out in 21 or 2020?
21.
21.
July 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brand new movie called A Dark Foe. It is available for rent or purchase on all the major digital streaming outlets. And we are going to be dissecting this movie because it has so many layers to it that we have a lot to talk about. First of all, Maria, thank you for joining us tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Super excited to talk to you about A Dark Fall, and thanks for having me.
It's my absolute honor and pleasure. And let's get right to it. You co-wrote this movie, and like we said, directed and produced. But let's start with the writing part. You co-wrote it with your father,
Yes.
who's also the star of the movie, Oscar Cardenas. Was this the first time working with your father?
No. It was we've been working together for I would say like about 6 years, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Like our since I grew up when I was a little kid, my love for film started because of him.
Okay.
Uh, he showed me all the thrillers, horrors, anything you can think of. He was showing me all of it. So like Hitchcock, like we were a big fan of Hitchcock. That was like our main like the thing that brought us together.
Yeah.
So I came to LA to pursue my career in filmmaking, and the acting was his dream all his life. But he got married too young, and to take care of the family, like he stopped acting. So when I came to LA, I started doing short films, and I told him, why don't you join me? And since then we work together, and I think we work together very well because we're so passionate about what we do and telling stories that working with him is the best. It's the best, and I think we're on set. Like he does respect my role as a director, and I respect his role as an actor. Like we do take each other seriously, and I think that's why we work very well, and we haven't like separated or anything. Like, okay, enough.
That's an awesome story. Now, he is listed as your co-writer. How much
Yes.
writing did he help you with for A Dark Foe?
Well, like most of it.
Oh,
He came up with the idea of a dark fall, actually. And then one day he came and pitched it to me, and I told him, we have to do this as a feature, because we've been doing so many short films that it was like the time to like step it up.
no,
And yeah, and so yeah, we co-wrote it together, and he lives in Venezuela. So it was a lot of like FaceTiming and working like that for hours and hours at night, and we made it happen.
now, was it immediately known when you guys were writing this that you would be directing and he would be the leading star?
For sure, yes.
Okay, that's
I
that.
think that's how we work, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
it worked out great because I mean, he was amazing. He's a great actor, and I want to see more of him. Now, let's start dissecting this movie because A Dark Foe has a lot of layers to it. Let's start with the Native American aspect of the movie. Okay,
All right.
how did you
Yeah.
guys come up with of all things the Native American uh, being such a core foundation of this film?
Well, we thought of the Native American because we were thinking like what kind of serial killer, or you know can what kind of serial killer have people not ever seen, before on screen, or what hasn't been done so much of. So we started like doing a lot of research, and we thought about native having a Native American because we also wanted a diverse cast. He
Yeah.
came from there mostly, We wanted to do like a very diverse cast, and yeah, we came up with the idea of having a Native American as a serial killer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Cradle, and I mean, great pick for the actor you play for the Cradle.
Crime.
He's been around for so long, and I'm such a huge fan of his for a
Exactly.
long time now. Now, basically, when because I would classify a Dark Foe as a crime, horror, action with some drama in it, and that's a lot of different aspects to throw into a movie, and it was all
Yes.
done very nicely. How did the whole concept of the nyctophobia, which is for people who don't know, people who are afraid of the dark, that's just something you don't really see much of in movies. Do you know of? Do you have or know anyone who has personal experience with nyctophobia, or how did you guys come up with that concept?
Well, we wanted to give this character Tony like an extra layer, like he's a very troubled character, a flawed character with a lot of guilt that he carries. And besides having this guilt that he carries because he thinks they took away his sister,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we also wanted to give him that extra layer of like when he meets this man who took her away, like not so fast, Tony. So we came up with the idea of giving him a phobia because especially after you go through an experience where they take away your family and you're in this crawl space for 3 days, you're not gonna come back the next day and be,
No,
oh, I'm good.
no,
So we thought about like, okay, what can happen inside of a crawl space? So we came up with the idea of nyctophobia, of having this fear of the dark, and that it was caused by this tragic event of his life. And I don't necessarily know people that suffer from nyctophobia, but myself and Oscar, my father, we both are sometimes even a little bit scared of the dark. Like if everything's dark, you start imagining little things.
oh
Like,
yeah.
oh, did I see a shadow there or something? And then you run to the next room.
So little Tony, when he was a boy, was stuck in that crawl space, like you said, for 3 days. Was he locked in there, or was he just too afraid to step outside?
Oh, he was too afraid to to go outside, but he also had his mother on top of him.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. When I don't, we're not going to spoil the movies, but in the flashback scenes where we're watching that, I didn't pick that up. That his mother, but you're right because he could see her through that little opening. He could see her eye. Okay, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Before continuing with the movie, obviously it's not that easy to come up with an idea and then get a feature film. So how difficult was the process? First of all, when you guys started writing it, did you have any ideas of where you're going to get financing, how you're going to cast it, who you're going to show it to? Did you have it all planned out, or did you guys take it stage by stage? Let's write it first and then see what happens.
Yes, that's exactly how it happened. Yeah, we started writing it, but we had people in mind. We had Graham Greene in mind when we wrote the screenplay,
Mm-hmm.
and I also worked with a producer. Her name is Amy Williams, and I met her a long time ago, like a few years ago, on a set for Mothers and Daughter, a movie she did with Selma Blair,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a production assistant there, and we like had a big relationship. So I also told her about about our film because she's more experienced than myself. So I needed someone with like a lot of experience to help us, and she helped us with bringing the casting. Like all the people, the name talent. Like she helped us so much, and also, but we started first the casting, like bringing Graham Greene.
Hmm.
We went to his agent, and after we gave it to him, like 48 hours after, he was like, "Yeah, I'm in." So we were so surprised, like, "Okay, sure." And that helped us, that helped us with
Hmm.
the process, like getting all the actors signed, and that helped us with financing and everything else after.
And where was shooting done?
Here in LA.
In LA. Okay, okay. And yeah, like I said earlier, it had a great cast. Let's not forget Bill Bellamy, who's also in it, and he was,
Exactly.
yeah, and he
Yes.
was great in it as well.
Definitely.
Now, did you have a studio before you started filming, or did a Dark Foe go through the film festivals and then it got picked up?
We went through the film festivals. We started doing that in 2018, but we stopped because of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
you know? We were doing so well. We even got like 20 awards,
Yeah,
16 nominations. It was, yeah, yeah. We were so happy. It was a great time, doing the festival run. But then, COVID hit, so we kind of like took a step back because we didn't want to do it like virtual festivals. So we started reaching out to distributors, and thankfully, Vertical Entertainment reached us out. Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Now let's get back to the movie. I love hearing stories on how just concepts of movies start from a person's mind to the script and end up going to the big screen. Because I mean, I've had
Mhm.
so many filmmakers tell me that only 25% of movies that are written or even filmed actually get it in front of an audience. So
Yeah,
it's a huge
there's so
accomplishment.
many,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much competition, and so much content nowadays that I still think about it, and I'm so grateful.
Yes. Yes.
So, so grateful.
Yes, I mean it's a big accomplishment, and the movie, like we said, is fantastic. So we move on. Tony becomes an FBI agent, and even in his adult age, he is still hunting for the person that he thinks took his sister. Okay,
Yes.
and we don't really find out what happens to the sister till the very end of the movie, which we're not going to spoil. Um, the process that he has to go through, and there's some pretty horrific scenes in the movie, and it shows a really dark side of prostitution, of people, humanity itself. How important was that for you to capture it the way you wanted to capture it on film? Like to have your vision captured on how these places actually are and not hold anything back from the audience.
Well, for me, it was very important. When I thought about the film as a whole, I had like three different worlds in my mind that kind of connected to each other. And I saw it like with colors. So like the tones.
Yeah.
Like for Tony's world, I divided it, right? So for Tony's world, it was like cold tones, and for when he meets this lead, Rebecca, that takes him through this underworld of prostitution, sex trafficking, but also uh, a hopeful world. It was kind of like more vibrant colors, neo noir colors. And when we are with the cradle, it's more of like these earthy tones and like dark
Mm-hmm.
tones. So I really wanted to make that visible because it's really sad that we still see these sex trafficking rings and all these really bad things that are happening nowadays, and I really wanted to show it in a way that these things happens and they are real, and I wanted to make it as vivid as possible, yeah, for people.
Did you ever have a fear that all the different elements in the movie, the Native American, the sex trafficking, the nyctophobia, like we said, layer on top of layer on top of layer, would be too much? And I mean, it turned out and it was beautifully done. But were you ever afraid that this might be too much, stories combined into one movie?
I definitely thought about it, but I think in my humble opinion, I believe that the story works in itself, like Tony has to go through all these different layers in order to find justice for his family, right? So I think it was necessary for him to travel through all these different places and to struggle and to have all these obstacles. So I did think about it, but I believed in the story, and I feel like even though it has so many layers, I think those layers serve the story, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Now, did
Yeah.
you find yourself, you and your dad, when you finished the script and then you got to shooting the film, as you were shooting the film, you and your dad had to make revisions to the script as you went along? What
Oh yeah.
sounded good when you were writing it a couple of months ago, now you're there
Yeah.
filming it, let's do it a little differently. How often did that happen?
Oh, it happened a lot. In set, it didn't happen that much. It was mostly like right before, like the 2 weeks of pre-production that we had before we started shooting, that we did a couple of changes,
Hmm.
crazy changes, but they all worked good. And while we were shooting, there were slightly things that we had to take out or put in for dialogue and other stuff, but nothing crazy, crazy changed, but we did a lot of drafts for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, if you're describing, let's say you meet someone and you're like, hey, I have a movie out, uh, would you classify it more as a crime movie or a horror movie? For me, it's equal both. How would you describe it?
I normally say that it's a thriller with a horror twist.
That's yeah, that's perfect. That
Yeah,
sums it
that's what
up.
it
And it has the drama element with the family,
Exactly.
and of
Yeah.
course the action. And of course the
Yeah.
action. What do you think a dark foe? What do you think separates it uh, from other similar type movies? If you were to, let me put it to you this way: if you were to ask me to name a movie that is in the similar category to a dark foe, I can't think of any. I really can't. So
Yeah.
if someone comes up to you and asks you to describe this film, how would you describe it to them?
Like with similar films
No, like,
or
I mean, would you go more with the criminal or the horror aspect? Get them
uh,
ready that they're going to see some stuff that might be disturbing to them?
oh, well, no, I would go more towards the crime aspect of the story of this guilt-ridden FBI agent who suffers from this phobia that was caused by the abduction of his sister and the murder of his mother. Yeah.
Now, at the end, do you think, once it's all resolved, do you think Tony, what's for lack of a better term, can let go of his guilt? Do you think he finally overcomes it?
People will have to find out and see.
Now, another thing, most movies that come out today are really short, like 88 minutes, maybe you'll get 90 minutes. A Dark Foe is about 100, is an hour and 54 minutes. Now,
Yeah,
did did you guys have to really cut it down to make it a movie that's under 2 hours when it came to editing? Uh,
for sure.
oh, so there were a lot of cutout scenes then, huh?
Yeah, we our first cut was, well, if I no, our rough cut was insanely long, but that obviously doesn't count. It was like 2 hours and 30 something minutes. But then the actual cut, the final cut that we thought it was ready was like 2 hours and 8 minutes. But we thought that was still very long, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to like really trim it and make it move, you know, so that story doesn't feel like it's dragging
Yeah.
or the pace is good. So we yeah. Yeah, it's long comparing to a lot of movies nowadays, especially like horror films. But since we had all these other layers, we decided it was okay because if we cut too much, then people will not understand certain things, you know?
Yes, yes, I totally
Yeah.
understand. Now let's go to the Cradle's daughter. Okay, it's a
Hmm.
character that you would not expect to see in this movie, and it's also the main motivation behind what the Cradle does to his victims. Uh, did you guys? How did you come up with such a unique story with the Cradle's daughter and her condition, without giving away too much? I mean, that was very fascinating. How did you guys come up with that idea?
Well, we wanted the Cradle to be kind of like a likable serial killer, you know? Like we really wanted him to have a purpose and a reason of why he's doing this. And uh, we did a lot of research, like what kind of diseases are out there that could be that could happen because of a chemical reason or for any other reason. You know, we started doing a lot of research and we found this with this disease. I don't remember exactly the name now because that
Mm-hmm.
was a while ago. But this disease, like you see, like how the skin comes, you know, like they start losing their
Yeah.
color. Yeah, so we thought it was perfect. And yeah, from there we got inspired to do the rest. Yeah.
Now, if you were to say now the Cradle's motivation, okay, he had we've seen him throughout. We see the Cradle throughout the movie when he's talking to different people, saying that he has different or saying different motivations. The Native American, you took our land motivation, uh, but we know it's his daughter. Do you think ultimately the Cradle is just a serial killer? He's a psychopath. Do you think he's doing this out of love to try and save his daughter? Or C, is it the Native American aspect, which I don't really buy? That's his. I think he's using that as an excuse. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would say it's for the love of his daughter mostly. It's the love of his daughter is what's driving him to do this, but at the same time, it's like this narcissism that he has on, you know, that he wants to do this. Yeah.
Now, we see in the beginning of the film, the Cradle has been doing this for a very long time. I mean, he has been hunted by the FBI for decades. He's the reason why Tony joined the FBI. Do you think, like when we see the earlier flashback scenes, the Cradle as a young man and hunting little girls, are we to assume that his daughter is alive and he's doing it for his young daughter, and she was
Yes.
born with, okay, so she was born with this condition.
Yes.
Okay, so he's not a pedophile.
No, no, absolutely not. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. He's doing it for his daughter. Yeah.
to try to save her. Okay, but you see him when he's doing these very atrocious acts to women. He shows no remorse, no guilt. Would you call him
Hmm.
also a psychopath?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, he takes enjoyment, and even though yeah, he's using the
Yeah.
excuse to help his daughter, but he actually enjoys what he's doing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay. Now, you talked about on how the colors were very important for you when you were focusing on different characters. That's something I've
Mhm.
never heard of before from another filmmaker. Is that something that's unique to yourself? Is it something that you learned while you were studying in LA? How did you come up with that concept?
Yeah, I feel I think like the tone, the tone on a movie I feel is very important, and some movies have like a very similar tone throughout the whole entire thing. But since I have these different parts of the film, I really wanted to make sure they stand out from each other, like each of them have like their own unique
Mm-hmm.
uh
Feel.
yeah, yeah, on unique field look. And I did learn it from school, but also like studying a lot of filmmakers like Darren Aronofsky. He's one of my favorites. I think the person I believe that made me be like, oh, I really want to try it, because I loved films, but since I started like watching movies like Requiem for a Dream or Black Swan,
Oh
those are
yeah.
my favorite. Since I watched those two films, he demonstrates, for example, in Requiem for a Dream, like this very dark world, and also the colors and everything, like the tones that he uses. I was very amazed by it, and and even like David Lynch also has like a very peculiar tone of how he like shows his movies,
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like I look into that a lot when I see a movie. Yeah.
Now, let's go back to how you got started. You mentioned you were and your dad would watch movies together. Hitchcock, you mentioned, was your favorite. Uh, Now, let's go to the film industry in Venezuela. Uh, and how hard is it for filmmakers in Venezuela to actually make films? Is there any funding available? Is there any incentives for the people of Venezuela to make films? Uh, or if you did not come to the United States, your dream would have never been fulfilled. Can you give us a little background on, the big differences between Venezuela, well, and of course Hollywood? I mean, besides the obvious differences, how hard is it to get a movie, if you want to be a filmmaker in Venezuela, done?
Oh, I think it's extremely hard, especially with the situation that's going on right now. Venezuela is like in a crisis. So I feel like the industry, the entertainment industry there, like died a few years ago, more than a few years ago. And I still think it's possible to make a film over there, but to find the right funding, it can be very difficult, because people there are very, like struggling, suffering,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So
uh, yeah.
that's pretty much what I thought. Now let's talk about your dad some more, okay? He was the lead actor in A Dark Foe. You said he started out, he wanted to be an actor. He became a dad at a very young age, and he had to put that aside. How much fun did he have being in front of the camera and acting for you in this movie?
Oh, I think he had fun, but at the same time, he always tells me that it was like uh crazy because like he was having fun, but this character, Tony Cruz, goes through so much that he always had to be in that state of like of the character and
Hmm.
what he was going through. So it was like fun and torture at the same time.
Now that he's had a leading role in a movie that is doing very well, is being very well received by critics. It just came out several weeks ago. Does he want to pursue acting further,
Oh,
whether
for
it's with you or not?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Is your dad in the United States, or is he in Venezuela?
He's in Venezuela right now, yeah.
Okay, okay. Now, there's a feeling of being immersed in the different characters' lives and perspectives throughout the entire film and the sequences that happened in the film. How did you go about basically putting us into what each character was feeling? For example, uh, your dad's partner, Bill Bellamy's character in the movie, his psychiatrist in the movie, and that all these different people, they all had a different story to his FBI boss. Uh, you did a great job letting us know what each person was about and what their true feelings were. Did you have to take any shortcuts? Any cuts were made in the film in that regard? Or was it pretty just right there for you to give us the story that every character had to share in the movie?
Yeah, well, I would say thank you first. Thank you for telling me all of that. It means a lot. But as far as the characters like Bill Bellamy or the psychiatrist and Glenn Morshower's character, Mr. Stewart, like all these characters were like I tried to give them as much description as possible in the screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talked to each of the actors that was playing that role, like we try to build like this background story and how they connected with the main character. You
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier that Graham Greene was the one that you really wanted to get. And once Graham Greene got on board, a lot of the other actors sort of fell into place. Did you write the
Yes.
character for Graham Greene with Graham in mind?
Yes.
You see, that is pretty cool. You write, are you,
I know. It was so insane. We were so surprised.
that doesn't happen
Yeah,
very often.
I know. And also for Selma Blair's character, we got her because she worked with Amy
Yeah.
Williams in that film that I told you about, and I also had like a little scene with her, so it was nice that she said yes and she wanted to join us.
So this is,
And
oh,
no, 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 I was gonna say, and Bill Bellamy, I met him and I talked to him about the film, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. Super nice. Yeah.
now this is your first full feature film, correct?
Yes.
What were some of the stuff that surprised you? You've done a lot of shorts before. What surprised you doing your first feature film as a director?
As a director, well, good question. Um, when I was preparing for this feature film, I didn't want to get too nervous or anything, so I tried to prepare myself as much as possible, with my shot list, my directing beats, all the notes that I had for the actors, and so so I would say that um, I prepared by, or the thing that surprised me the most, it was like the preparation that you need for like the VFX, because with sorry, the light is like right on me and I started like having like a tear
It's
all of the
okay. It's
sudden,
okay.
like what's going on. And uh but yeah, like, one thing that surprised me was the whole thing working with the visual effects, because I never did it, and um, that was like a whole new experience for me, and it was pretty cool, very fun. Another thing that surprised me is the amount of people that I need to make things happen, because before I used to work with 20 people max, 25 people max on set, and on this set we were like 100
Wow.
plus.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And also we I think those are the things that surprised me the most, because as I was saying, since I did short films and I wanted to prepare myself, when I went to set, I told to myself, like, you have to treat this as another short film,
Mm-hmm.
like, but like, it's a short film, but it's gonna take longer, the maximum amount of days I did before was 5 days,
Yeah.
For this film, we were there for 28 days.
Okay.
20. So it was intense 28 days. And I still think about it and I'm like, wow, that's so crazy. And I was so thankful and like I couldn't believe it, you know? Like each day went by and even the last day on set when we wrapped, I was like, I want to continue. I want to continue shooting. I don't want it to stop, you know?
Now,
I was
were you at all intimidated directing some of these very established actors?
Not really, because I felt very comfortable with them, you know? They made me feel comfortable, and also when I talked to them, like they really listened to me and what I had to say. And I also like when they gave me like their notes, I also was very like collaborative, and
Hmm.
I think it worked out. Like my experience with all the actors was incredible, like all of them. Yeah, I never felt intimidated at all. The only thing that let's say like it was like a little bit out of whoop, like what happened here, you know, when I arrived to set is that we try to hire like as many experienced people as possible to help us.
Yeah.
That you know, by the time we shot the film, I was 23, turning 24 on the set actually, and you know I'm a young female director, and that did bring me some trouble on set with some crew members because they were looking down on me because I
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
not enough experience, you know.
Hmm.
So at first the first week was a little bit like ah this sucks that this is happening, but I try to not think about that, you know. I try to
Good.
think about my story, my actors, like are we getting everything? You know, that's what I was thinking about, what mattered. So as the shoot days went by, I did see a difference on set, and I saw that people were believing me and that I knew what I was doing, you know?
Yeah. That's
So it turned out amazing after.
yeah, it is. I can totally understand. You have whether it's, all the different production people that are on set, they're like, wow, here's this 23, 24-year-old woman and she's my boss, you know? And some people just, whatever. That's their issue. Let them deal with it. Now that you've got your first feature film under your belt and it's gaining success, it's gaining momentum as time passes on. Have you noticed any more doors open up for you as far as writing, directing, producing, as a direct result of A Dark Foe?
um, yeah, I've been getting some stuff, but right now I'm actually focusing on developing a new movie with my father. So we're on that right now. So we'll see where that goes.
Where would you say your passion really is? Is it with writing or directing?
Directing for sure.
Okay.
I I love writing, but writing is so hard.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's absolutely hard. It's a love-hate relationship that I have with writing.
How about your dad?
Because
How much does he enjoy writing? I'm sorry to cut you off. But like your dad, how much does he enjoy writing?
he loves it. He loves it. Yeah, but I think we both have like we have to write, but it's a good like frustration, you know? I don't mean it in a bad way.
Hmm.
It because you're on the page, but sometimes you have like these great ideas, but you don't know how to translate them onto the page exactly. So it's a process, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's the love-hate thing that I have with writing because I wish you could just write and it's there, you know?
So I would
But
assume
no.
I would assume then that if you get approached with a script from, a studio or a producer or whatnot, and you like the script that you did not have to write, you would have no issue taking it on and directing it, right?
Oh, for sure. No, I would love to. Please.
How, I mean, now let's go to the horror genre for a little while. moving forward, would you say your heart lies with horror? You mentioned Hitchcock. You loved Hitchcock growing up. He was the master of thrillers, mystery, and suspense. Is that the genre that you are most passionate about in filmmaking?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Is there any particular subgenre that you like exploring? Because A Dark Foe is a pretty psychological movie.
Yeah, I like psychological thrillers a lot. I think that's my top favorite,
Oh,
from the top. And then after that, I love thrillers and horrors and action films too. But I would say it's between thrillers and horrors what I'm more like excited about,
yeah.
especially watching them. Yeah,
You see,
never get tired.
me neither. It's all about, for me, blood, guts, gore. It's nice, it's fun, it's entertaining. But for me, it's about the characters. It's about the storytelling. That's what makes a good movie, you know?
Mm,
And
yeah.
it sounds like you feel the same way. Now, when you're moving, if you had, if things go the way you want them to, you want to focus on psychological, character based thriller storytelling. Does that include all realms, like from paranormal and like more action horror, science fiction, and so on?
Yeah. Um, I would say, yeah, like a psychological horror to, kind of get out. Let's say that's like the new genre that they're given,
Mm-hmm.
psychological horror. I love that too. Um, or I think, but I wouldn't close myself into doing just that. I would love to explore anything really. Like as long as it's a good story that has a good meaning behind and a great character and you really want to root for that character in the story, I'm happy to tell that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Maria, do you realize with a dark foe, you came up with a truly unique, you and your dad came up with a truly unique story. I mean, I'm completely serious. Uh, I have never seen anything like it on the screen before. Do you just sit back now when you watch the final product, the final movie all put together and edited, and you watch it from start to finish? Has it hit you yet that you guys came up with a story that has never really been done in the way that you guys did it before?
Well, thank you.
I'm being
Thank you so
serious. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
being serious. Because it's so easy to turn on put on a horror movie, and we know all the horror cliches, uh, whatever the subgenre is, and you and your dad really went against the grain, came up with some really brilliant ideas, and instead of making it a one or a two layer type story, you've mounted layer on top of layer on top of layer, and you did it successfully as well. I did not know what to expect when I started Dark Foe. I just read the synopsis like everybody else. I'm like, wow,
yeah.
this sounds interesting. But then at the end, I was like, wow. I'm like, I have never seen anything like this before. And it was good. It was
I'm so
good.
happy to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not easy to do. I mean, you're talented. You're obviously very talented because if everybody could do what you pulled off in A Dark Foe, we would be seeing a lot more unique stories out there than people following the regular horror playbook, whether it's slasher movies or paranormal movies. So I just I wanted to let you know and to see if you fully realize what a unique story not only did you guys come up with and you managed to nicely put it together on film. So again, congratulations on that. You know,
Thank you.
it's
Thank you so much.
it's not as easy as you think. What was
Yeah.
what would you say was the biggest challenge in those 28 days of filming that you had to overcome?
I think time was the challenge. We had so much to shoot, that it was like, okay, we gotta get the scene. So I think, yeah, getting everything that we wanted was very important to us and very challenging. We had to do like go overtime and get things done, and also again, I would say the VFX. Yeah.
Now the which part of the VFX impressed you the most? Was it the stuff that you saw in the editing room on how they took what you shot and made it look so real? Or was it the shooting part that was impressive and challenging for you?
The post-production part was incredible, because we saw what the artist did, and we were so impressed and amazed of what he did, as the phobia goes.
Yeah.
And but for the shoot, it was hard. I say it was hard because we were literally like just leaving it to post production. We were trying to shoot like the camera angles and doing everything. So it was like either this is going to work or it's not. So that's what got me like in my nerves all the time. And I was like FaceTiming the VFX person, like, oh, we're planning to do this here and here. Do you think it's gonna look okay? So,
Did
but
you did you have complete control on the casting of the movie?
oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, was there any particular role that you really had to go through a lot of people to audition to finally pick the person? Like, let's say, for example, Tony's mother.
Oh, for her it was easy. We saw Julie Gonzalo and we were sold with her. And I think we had a hard time with Rebecca.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it was hard to get a Rebecca until we met Kenzie actually. But before we met Kenzie, the actress that plays Rebecca, we were going through a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about the twist involving Rebecca, but we can't. We can't.
Yeah.
That's gonna spoil a lot of stuff. But I love that twist.
Hi.
Is that something, without talking about the twist itself, that you and your dad came up right away when you were writing the script, or was it just an
we
idea?
we really wanted it. Yeah. I'm a fan of film noir, and he also is. So we had to.
Now, moving forward, you said you had some projects in the works. What can you tell us about what you have currently in the works?
Yeah. Well, we have two horrors actually. It's more psychological horror. Let's say, let's classify it as that.
Yeah.
But we really want to dive into it a little more. And yeah, we're still writing it, so I don't want to say too
No,
much
no.
because it may change.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we look forward to watching. I look forward to watching a lot more of your stuff. You're
Well,
still
thank
so young, and you have this full feature film now that is getting great reviews by viewers and critics. And the way the movies are right now with COVID and how distribution works, it's not like it was even 3 years ago. A lot of movies gain success not immediately, unless it's a big blockbuster box office, big budget film. Uh,
you.
Movies nowadays, the majority of them get recognized as time passes on and word of mouth. One person telling another person, hey, check out this movie. Overall, are you pretty good with the critics' review, the viewers' response to A Dark Foe?
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to people continue watching the movie and spread the word. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what we're doing here. We're getting the word
Thank you.
out on the Dark
Yeah,
Foe, and I'm recommended to all my viewers. Guys, those of you who watched me for a while know that when I say I'm literally stumped and I can't find another movie to compare a Dark Foe to, I'm being dead serious. I really cannot think of another movie that encompasses so many different layers as Maria's movie, A Dark Foe. So please go check it out. It's available on all the major retailers, Amazon, Vudu. I mean, everywhere where you can rent or buy a movie. Is there any plans in the future, as far as you know, for a Dark Foe going to a subscription service? As far as you know right now?
as far as I know right now, not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
But oh, yeah.
I mean, I could see it ending up on like a Shutter or a Netflix or somewhere like that, which I'm pretty sure it's going to. Somebody's gonna pick this up. Somebody's gonna pick this up for their streaming service. Anyway, Maria, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a fascinating conversation. It's been a pure honor just talking to you and getting the insight on how you and your dad work together. Can I ask you one last question? And
For sure. Yeah.
your dad, you had to film him with doing some pretty awkward scenes with another woman. This is from my own curiosity. As
Uh-huh.
your dad, did that make you feel awkward, or were you guys totally professional and like, he's not my father, this is an actor, I'm the director, and that's all it's going to be?
Yeah, totally. It didn't feel awkward at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I had to ask. I was just curious about that. I'm like, I'm a
It's
father.
all,
I have a daughter, and I'm like, man, that would be just so weird. Anyway, thank you so much, Maria. Any final thoughts you want to share with our audience?
I just want to say thank you to you for having me here. It does mean a lot to me that you really like the movie. It makes me so happy to hear that. And to your listeners, yeah, make sure to check it out.
Absolutely.
That
Check
it's
out,
not, you can watch it tonight.
watch it tonight. It's available on all the major digital streaming platforms. A Dark Foe. Maria, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Much success to you, Maria. I know it's going to come your way. And until next time, guys, on behalf of Maria and myself, stay safe and always stay walking. Good night.